Now you should be able to hear me. Can you hear me now? There we go. Okay, I apologize about that audio issue we just had there. I had to fix something really quickly. So now we got audio. Now you can hear me loud and clear. All right, good day and good to be with you. I'm Jackson Mitchell, joining you live right now from Brookland News headquarters. We have a lot to talk about, as I was just saying, on this Super Bowl Sunday. That's a live look in New Orleans as we talk all about this, what we have in plan for the Super Bowl Sunday. But now on Brookland News Live, could the education department be no longer? Plus, could Gaza soon be in the United States' hands? And sticking on the international topic, another Saturday leads to more hostages being released in the Israel-Hamas ceasefire. Now, the outrage on the condition of those hostages from Hamas. And Pam Bondi is now the Attorney General of the United States. Her plans and the president's view on Bondi. Also, in your local minute, could all students in Arkansas public schools soon be receiving free breakfast? And a little later, President Donald Trump signs executive order banning, transgender athletes from playing in the sport with the gender they identify as. USAID or USAID is possibly going to be no longer. What is that? And how Elon Musk played into this all. What is DeepSeek, this new foreign-owned artificial intelligence, in the spotlight? And as I was just mentioning, it's Super Bowl Sunday. Get your predictions up in the chat right now, and I'll read them a little later in the show. I'll tell you who I'm rooting for as well. Brookland News Live begins.
Brookland News Live begins right now. Here's Jackson Mitchell. Right now, here's Jackson Mitchell.
Good Sunday to all of you. I'm Jackson Mitchell, live from Brookland News headquarters in Brookland, Arkansas. And I want to note that this show, I was making it a little bit shorter, but I was kind of in a rush, and I would say, let me just say this. I was a little lazier earlier in the week and didn't have this show as prepared as I usually do. So now I had to do that this weekend. So that is why we're coming on the air right now at 3:15 rather than 3 p.m. on the dot. So apologies about that. So the show will be short, but it probably will go on until 4 o'clock now that we're just now coming on at 15 minutes past the hour. So I don't want to consume your entire Super Bowl Sunday with news because we still got a lot to talk about. I do want to go first to your forecast, though, and where that stands. Take a look there at your 7-day forecast. It's going to be a rainy start to your week. On Monday, a 100% of rain, high of 47, low of 36. By Tuesday, high of 38, low of 32. The showers continue. On Wednesday, I don't know, maybe some showers, maybe some not, really depending where you are across northeast Arkansas. And then we have a high of 37, low of 24. By Thursday, showers finally cool off and stop for a minute, but temps stay at a pretty low level, high of 35, low of 25. By Friday, high of 48, low of 40. Saturday, the showers are expected to pick up, but that could mean, I would just say, well, it's really hard to project the 7-day forecast, I'll tell you that, because every week that we've done this, last week, when I did this, we were projecting the weather to be in the 70s all week, and then it ended up being cold and rainy basically in the entire time. So I just want to say, late week, could see some more rain. Right now, that's projected to happen and occur on Saturday, high of 56, low of 33. By Sunday, showers cool down again, high of 39, low of 25. So finally seeing some fall weather here. Back live there, a look there at New Orleans. Via EarthCam, courtesy of EarthCam there. Thanks for them to have that shot. Also, I want to note, I was also wondering, I was like, what is that? That's a set there. Then you see that anchor desk, and you see the Fox, the Super Bowl Sunday there logo. So we'll keep an eye on this shot throughout the eternity of our live coverage here. So back live here in Brooklyn, we are going to turn now to, though, an interesting story, I'd like to call it, on the education department. In our intro, I was just talking about how the education department could soon be no longer. And multiple sources are reporting that it could be. I wrote in BrooklandNews.com about all of this. It's somewhere. I have it somewhere. There we go. I wrote on BrooklandNews.com about all of this. And these sources report that the push would come in two parts and that the executive order would essentially be to direct the soon-to-be nominee that is likely to be the incoming very soon Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, to have a plan to essentially plummet or get rid of the Department of Education. Donald Trump spoke on all of it. Here it is.
And on the Education Department, why nominate Linda McMahon to be the Education Department Secretary if you're going to get rid of the Education Department?
Because I told Linda, I hope you do a great job and put yourself out of a job. I want her to put herself out of a job. Education Department. So we're ranked number 40 out of 40 schools, right? We're ranked number 1 in cost per pupil. So we spend more per pupil than any other country in the world, and we're ranked at the bottom of the list. We're ranked very badly. And what I want to do is let the states run schools. I believe strongly in school choice, but in addition to that, I want the states to run schools.
Trump was referring to nominee for Department of Education Secretary Linda McMahon, who has yet to have a confirmation hearing, as I was just saying there, as the Senate Education Committee is awaiting her ethics report. NPR here has a report out talking about exactly what the Education Department does, and I was looking and I was like, so what exactly is the Education Department a part of? Saying that all these states also have an education department. So what do they exactly do there? So NPR has they wrote a story titled "A Guide to What the U.S. Education Department Does and Doesn't Do." So pretty interesting what it said. So I'll go through it here for you, and I'm just going to read. It's going to take me a minute. I'm going to read a pretty lengthy part of all of this. So it starts off by saying this is just a little history backstory on all of it. It says, created by Congress in 1979, the department employs more than 4,000 people and has an annual budget of $79 billion. Many of its responsibilities were given to it by lawmakers. Then, in parentheses, it says, the U.S. Constitution doesn't actually mention a federal role in education. And I highlighted that because I thought it was, or I should say I underlined it rather, in using highlighter, because I thought it was, I was thinking, I was like, so if this really happens, I expect that the Democratic groups will, of course, sue, and like we've seen in other cases, the case will go forward, likely to, it just depends how the ruling would go. But either side, if it goes against them, they're likely to appeal that in court, and then eventually, really something this big of dismantling the federal Department of Education is likely to go to the Supreme Court. So I wrote this down. I underlined it because I was like, I'm going to read it one more time and I'll say, the U.S. Constitution doesn't actually mention a federal role in education, because that is likely what the Supreme Court of the United States will rule on. They'll say that the Constitution doesn't state that we need that, so we are going to rule in favor of Donald Trump. That is a major speculation. Of course, this hasn't yet been done. That is just my prediction if this makes it all the way up to the Supreme Court. So, we're going to watch that. The story goes on to say most public school funding comes from state and local governments. The federal government in general provides only a small fraction of schools' overall funding, between 6 and 13%, according to a 2018 report from the United States Government Accountability Office. And two of the big funding issues that I even wrote about in the article in BrooklandNews.com was these two big things that the U.S. Federal Department of Education provides with their federal funding, which is Title I, and that provides money to help districts that serve lower-income communities. And then it goes on to say in 2023, the Education Department received more than $18 billion for Title I. They also fund IDEA, which is the Individuals for Disabilities Education Act, a really key issue throughout the time here. It says, in the 2024 in 2024, the department received more than $15 billion for IDEA. So both of these funding streams were, like the department itself, created by separate acts of Congress. Title I was signed into law in 1965, and IDEA was signed into law in 1975, 10 years later. They cannot be unwound, except by Congress. Large changes to either are unlikely, as the money enjoys broad bipartisan support. So, and then I have here written here: will this need congressional approval, or can it just be executive action? Considering that what that paragraph just read was that it was these things were put together by Congress, not by the executive branch of government, rather by the congressional. So the story also goes on to highlight of course, this campaign promise that Donald Trump made to get rid of the Department of Education. It says, over the years, Donald Trump has vowed to rid America's schools of such ideas as, quote, wokeness and critical race theory, and he has said that he would close the education department in order to, quote, return all education and education work and needs to the states, unquote. In reality, it is already up to the states to determine what is taught in classrooms. So, I think a key story here as to what will happen here with the education department. Now, there was also this Economist YouGov poll that polled 1,604 people throughout the United States, and let's just say they are asked multiple questions on education, including one that asked, which of these is the most important issue to you? And I have the poll right here, and I'm just going to go through kind of what the options were. Inflation, jobs, economy, healthcare, immigration, climate change and the environment, civil rights, taxes and government spending, abortion, national security, civil liberties, education, guns, crime, foreign policy, criminal justice reform. And only 3% of those people answered education. So, of course, this is only a poll of, what did I just say? What was that number? 1,604 people throughout the United States. So, of course, this isn't speaking for the entire American population, and I wouldn't say that, but they were also asked on the approval or disapproval of the way Donald Trump is handling these specific issues. Similar list of issues they were given, and 40% said they approve of education, 39% said they disapprove. So, something key to watch there as that plays out, that is for sure. So, we're going to keep our eyes on that, and I'll just say, I wouldn't say that that speaks for the American people on that 39%, 40% margin there, because that's really close, and I think that may allude to a possible divide here. But I think that, 3%? I don't want to get my numbers wrong. It was, 3% said education was kind of this issue on their mind that they believe needed to be fixed. So, only 3% answering to that doesn't mean that it's really a large and put in focus issue. So, 1,000 people, they don't speak for the entire American population, but I will say that this could allude to maybe some controversies I was just saying there in that last vote. Also interesting, of course, BN will keep with it all. Okay, when BN Live returns, we are going to talk about this Gaza that may be in the United States' hands. There's something interesting about all of that. We're talking about it. Plus, what Trump said as he met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu earlier this week. The coverage continues here in just moments. welcome back. A live look there in New Orleans as we continue and our live coverage here on this Super Bowl Sunday, courtesy of EarthCam, of course. There, I'm not gonna lie, I'm fascinated by this set. Maybe they're taking it apart or something. I'm not sure. Adjusting some things there on that set. That is a live view there in downtown New Orleans, Bourbon Street, just blocks away from this camera, and there is heightened security on this Super Bowl Sunday. As if you remember, on January 1st, the second really we entered 2025 at about 3 a.m., a truck rammed in, and they are not taking any chances. There are police cars lined up, block by block by block by block. Not allowing any traffic at all to enter this area, only pedestrian traffic. So we will keep our eye on that as our coverage here on Brookland News Live continues on this Super Bowl Sunday. So much news to choose from when I'm making these shows. Okay, this week Donald Trump met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. They held a joint press conference at the White House. During that, Donald Trump appeared to say that he wanted to build the Gaza Strip into kind of this place where it would make jobs and kind of, I don't know, I don't think it's exactly in this video, but he kind of explained it to be kind of a resort-like a building, the Gaza Strip. Just listen in.
You are talking tonight about the United States taking over a sovereign territory. What authority would allow you to do that? Are you talking about a permanent occupation there? Redevelopment?
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent in a really magnificent area that nobody would know.
Now, since those comments, the White House is kind of backtracking just a little, but White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt kind of saying that it would be nice for this kind of to be back in the spotlight, back where people can actually live in it. We are going to continue on the international topic here, though, because every Saturday, as you may know, leads to new hostages being released in the Israel-Hamas ceasefire. And this week, 3 more were released after being in captivity for nearly 491 days. Lots of emotion spread across Israel as all 3 of the hostages appeared extremely unhealthy. You see them lean, small. I mean, they just look unhealthy. I mean, compared to the people standing beside them there, who look, they definitely look larger in size compared to the hostages that have been released and now look super lean. And that led to a little bit of uproar, I should say, from the Israel government. Israel President Isaac Herzog, not the Prime Minister, rather the President, Isaac Herzog, reacting, saying, quote, "This is what a crime against humanity looks like. The whole world must look directly at Ohad or an Eli returning after 491 days of hell, starved, emaciated, and pained, being exploited in a cynical and cruel spectacle by vile murderers. We take solace in the fact that they are being returned alive to the arms of their loved ones." Unquote. Herzog obviously showing some anger as to what those hostages look like, but I want to go back. I want to read that very last sentence that he said there. Quote, "We take solace in the fact that they are being returned alive to the arms of their loved ones." Unquote. I don't know. I just thought that's something key that was said there. Herzog obviously frustrated, but saying that, they're healthy, but he's happy that they're at least now home. So something to keep in note there. Now, and I was listening to the news yesterday, and I can't remember what news organization it was, but They were reporting on this, and they were talking about two of the hostages were said to have not known that their children and relatives had been killed or passed because they were being obviously held hostage by Hamas. I don't know, stuff like that just hurts. It's just like, imagine I don't know, you can't really put yourself in their shoes, but just think as it like you are being held hostage. You are wanting to see your children. You're thinking about the things, the stories that you are going to tell your children after you get out of captivity, and then you come back to learn that there is even more anger, even more grief that you have to take on. So, I don't know, just turn my gut a little bit. There's so much to watch for in this, literally everything else. There's so much news happening that we're talking about it all. The coverage is going to continue here in just moments, as Brookland News Live will be back in here in just 60 seconds. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Brookland News Live as we continue to cover the first 100 days of the Trump administration. But first, back there at a look live, they're in New Orleans as we continue to take a look at that live feed there where they appear to be taking down that set now. We've been talking about this whole time, but that's a look just blocks away from Bourbon Street there in downtown New Orleans as it's Super Bowl Sunday, guys. Get excited as the Chiefs and the Eagles take on. We'll be watching that. I'll be watching that tonight. We're going to talk about that a little later in the show, though. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Again, live there in New Orleans, courtesy of Brookland. Okay. As we continue to cover the first 100 days of the Trump administration, the Senate this week voting in favor of Pam Bondi for Attorney General. Justice Clarence Thomas swearing her in earlier this week with remarks from Attorney General Bondi. Here it is.
Pam Bondi, and I want to congratulate Pam. She's worked hard, so hard, and unbelievably fair and unbelievably good at law enforcement. I just want to congratulate you. Very special person.
I do solemnly swear
I, Pamela Bondi, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter.
discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
I am truly honored that you have asked me to take on this role.
Okay. Donald Trump also saying there that she would attempt to remain impartial. We'll see how that goes, as he kind of joked around there saying, she'll do her best. Okay, I want to turn now, though, to your local minute. I don't know, it's my favorite part of the show to do, favorite part of the show to write. I don't know about you guys, but all Arkansas students, public school students, could soon be receiving free breakfast in the mornings. Let me read you this story coming in from the Arkansas Advocate. They say, quote, a legislative panel on Wednesday approved the bill to provide free breakfast to Arkansas students, regardless of their eligibility to the federal free or reduced price meal program, beginning with the 2025-26 academic school year. Lead sponsor, Senator Jonathan Dismang, the Republican from Searcy, told the Senate Education Committee Wednesday that Senate Bill 59 would first use federally available funds to support the initiative before tapping into state resources. State funding would come through the Food Insecurity Act, fund, which would be created by SB 59 and consist of money from general revenue, private grants, and medical marijuana taxes. Quote, we ask these kids to be in school. We actually mandate that they be in school. This being said, we want them to be successful. Let's give them the basic tool to be successful, and that is to start the day without an empty stomach. And I apologize, dog barking there. So that is going to be something to watch there here in your local minute. The story goes on to say that there isn't any major disapproval, but there is looming disapproval of the bill. You know, I think if it was passed, many parents would definitely be happy. The question I would ask is, how much would this all cost, and how long could this go, considering during the COVID pandemic back in 2020, students were able to receive, I believe, free breakfasts and lunch. I can't remember. I think it was both through state and federal funding. Then that ended, and now we could see it coming back. You know, why hasn't it stayed, all this time? A lot still to come here on Brookland News Live. President Donald Trump banning transgender people from playing in the sport with the people they identify with. What is USAID, and what's going on with the shutdown? And what is this new foreign-owned artificial intelligence named DeepSeek? We got a lot to talk about, all coming up here on Brookland News Live in just 60 seconds. All right, welcome back here to Brookland News Live on this Sunday. Back live there in New Orleans, and that camera courtesy of EarthCam live there, where we are continuing to monitor this on this Super Bowl Sunday. A lot to talk about again. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. It is a rainy and cold Sunday here in Brooklyn, though. While I think it's about 75 degrees in New Orleans today, so it's a beautiful weather they have to deal with there. So this week was the week that was Donald Trump signing an executive order that banned transgender athletes from playing in the sport with those that they identify with, which was a campaign promise.
Thank you very much. This is a nice crowd, isn't it, huh? You've been waiting a long time for this. So have I. Actually, it was so ridiculous. But here we are. And this doesn't have to be long. It's just all about common sense. You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that. I want to make this a really good signature because this is, this is a big one, right? Oh, I think we have a 10. We have a 10.
God bless you, Mr. President.
Okay, that was earlier this week there at the White House, and just last hour, an interview aired on Fox News with on Fox, just an hour, I believe, during all the pregame stuff that was coming on for Super Bowl Sunday, with President Donald Trump and Fox News anchor Brett Baer. We have just gotten in a little bit of video from that within just moments ago. Let's hear this.
I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him to do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse.
Okay, Donald Trump there asked on Elon Musk. I'm going to probably re-air that clip because we're going to talk about Elon Musk and his what influence you could say that he now has on the government. We watched that interview nearly just a little bit ago, and we'll, if there's anything else that's newsworthy from that, we will air it right here on Brookland News Live. This week was also the week that was the United States Agency for International Development, or USAID, almost shutting down. Donald Trump and Elon Musk attempted to shut the agency down in an attempt to limit federal spending. And this agency, essentially, they assist in providing aid for often war-torn countries, and those countries struggling the most from starvation and are in need of health care. And this week, workers were told to stay home and offered paid administrative leave. Democratic lawmakers protesting this. Here's that, but first we'll hear from the now agency leader that runs, now the Department Secretary of Homeland Security. Here's Marco Rubio. He speaks first, and then we hear from the Democratic lawmakers that were protesting in front of the USAID building. Note here, Marco Rubio is now going to lead this agency as well under his arm. Here it is.
Well, look, I mean, my frustration with USAID goes back to my time in Congress. It's a completely unresponsive agency. It's supposed to respond to policy directives of the State Department, and it refuses to do so. So the functions of USAID, there are a lot of functions of USAID that are going to continue, that are going to be part of American foreign policy, but it has to be aligned with American foreign policy. USAID has a history of sort of ignoring that and deciding that there's somehow a global charity separate from the national interest. These are taxpayer dollars.
We talked about Trump wanting to be a dictator on day one, and here we are. This is what the beginning of dictatorship looks like.
This illegal, unconstitutional interference with congressional power is threatening lives all over the world. These actions severely harm our national security. They put
Okay, lots of anger there from Democratic lawmakers and Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, kind of saying that it goes back to his days as I believe a senator in Congress, saying that it's always been a little bit messed up, essentially. So Now you're probably wondering, how did Elon Musk play into all of this? Well, Musk runs Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, and he spoke about the agency and kind of in an attempt to lead to what occurred. I'm paraphrasing here, but I believe he said something to the nature of that it was beyond repair and saying that a shutdown is the only option. Now, Los Angeles Times columnist Robin Abkarian, who wrote this right here, saying, quote, "My guess is that Musk, the unelected, unappointed billionaire bureaucrat in charge of slashing federal spending, and his boss, President Trump, are betting that most Americans won't care about this stuff that goes on overseas. Voters are in an isolationist mood when they gave Trump a second term. And most of us have only a glancing knowledge of U.S. aid, which delivers humanitarian aid to developing nations by conflict and disease and natural disaster across the globe, with a budget of around $40 billion. U.S. aid is also the world's largest provider of food assistance, which, to put in terms even Elon Musk might grok, means it saves the lives of malnourished babies. And the joke here is Grok is the AI that can be found on X. But, surprise, Americans do care. On Wednesday, pro-USA demonstrators took place at state capitals across the country. In Washington, D.C., where USA is headquartered, and many of its workers and contractors live. Thousands turned out to protest Musk's abrupt, potentially illegal move. And I would also like to note that protests even broke out at the Arkansas state capitol, while signs there appeared to say Elon Musk is not president, did not vote for him. A member of the White House pressed Donald Trump on where is Elon Musk's stopping point, and I believe, paraphrasing again here, Donald Trump answering, saying that he doesn't talk to Musk much, but he just does what he is asked. And that is why I want to re-air this clip from the Fox interview with Bret Baier that occurred just moments ago. Let's listen in here as Trump was pressed on Elon Musk.
I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse.
I would say, too, not much surprise. Late into the week, this week, we learned that a federal judge put a temporary restraining order on the movement. And the reason I say it's no surprise is this has been happening with a number of executive actions that the new Trump administration has taken. And it's getting stuck in the courts as groups and people sue. But since the orders in effect, actions usually are effective immediately or almost immediately, or they go into effect days after. Courts have to do this to check, is there a case here? So don't be surprised if this happens, more often, because it's likely to happen throughout the entirety of the Trump administration. Okay, still a lot to come right here on Brookland News Live on this Sunday. We still have to talk about the Super Bowl, but first, Deep Seek, back here in just a minute. And welcome back here to Brookland News Live on this Sunday. So, apologies about that. I had to get my mic back working. Now we're back here on the airway. So back live there in New Orleans, as we've done every time we've come back from break there. You see people lined up there walking these streets as they get ready to watch the Super Bowl occur. So we are going to monitor that, but first we do have some news we got to talk about. DeepSeek, this new artificial intelligence known as DeepSeek, referred to there, is now kind of taking the spotlight here. Recently, its stock went kind of viral. Investing.com reported on this, and we have it somewhere. Okay, there we go. Investing.com reported on all of this, saying, quote, the brokerage suggests that while the introduction of this AI model presents cost efficiencies and new opportunities, it also introduces potential disruptions to established investment patterns and capital expenditure strategies. It goes on to say JP Morgan analysts said that DeepSeek's efficiency in reducing training and interference costs could significantly impact technology firms, particularly those involved in AI development and infrastructure. So, something to watch out for there. So, it's foreign owned, and it's getting a lot of coverage because of how cheap it is to buy and use. Okay. A quick break. One more when we come back here. I won't make this long. That's the last one. Sorry. That one might finally working from the audio that we were having. So, got that fixed. We're going to be back here in just 60 seconds, and we're going to talk about the Super Bowl at last. Back here in a moment. All right, Ty, ready? Well, Brookland News Live on this Sunday. Lots to talk about there live in New Orleans. And it's reached that time of the show where we finally get to talk about where the Super Bowl stands. A poll from the Emerson College poll talks about where predictions stand for all of this. And it says... One moment here, I'm grabbing the paper here, and then we'll get into it. It says, okay, do not, okay. One moment here. Stick with me. I'm trying to find the document that has the poll on it. I'm sure you guys can hear the papers turning and flipping here. You're looking live there in New Orleans as we continue to our coverage here. Got a lot of papers. I'm trying to find where the prediction is. It was an Emerson College poll that talked about where things stood. Is this it right here? No. Okay, I'm just going to go through one by one, and then we'll get to the prediction of where the Super Bowl stands and how that's all going to play out a little bit later in the evening. Okay. I do not think I don't have it, but what I can tell you is that it was mostly mostly the Philadelphia Eagles winning in that prediction. I was looking for it so we could have it to show you guys right here on BM, but we don't have that right now. We will try to get that back. But essentially, inside that, it said that most people were rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles over the Kansas City Chiefs. And must say, I agree with the poll. So I think it might be time for a change. Although I would still think that a Kansas City Chief win would be pretty amazing, as they would be three-peats under the same quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. So not going to be upset either way, but I'm going to hope here that the Eagles win. The coverage of the Super Bowl starts at 5:30 p.m. Central on Fox. I hope you all have some great food and enjoy some great time with your loved ones as you all watch the Super Bowl, which is taking place in New Orleans, as we've been watching there. So that is going to do it for me on this Sunday. Of course, you can catch me right back here, same time, same place, next Sunday at 3 p.m. Central. For now, I'm Jackson Mitchell, wishing you all a great week ahead.